We're going to dive into a nation that was quite literally born from one of the most violent events in our planet's history. It's a place of unbelievable extremes, of endurance, and of a really profound spirituality. This is the story of Nepal.
Everything starts right here. I mean, not with a king or a battle, but with a collision. An actual tectonic plate collision. Just imagine India slamming into Asia with such force that it crumpled the Earth's crust, thrusting the world's highest mountains into the sky. This single event is the foundation for everything we're about to see.
And the country that was born from that impact, it's just wild. We're talking about a place where you've got these massive one-horned rhinos, like something out of a prehistoric documentary, down in the grasslands. And then, not far away, you have these medieval cities that are literally clinging to life in a valley that never, ever stops shaking. And then, way above all that, you have the highest point on the entire planet.
So let's start our journey at the very top, what they call the roof of the world. And look, that's not just some poetic phrase, it's a physical reality. It's this massive wall of stone and ice that actually shapes the weather for half of the entire planet.
The scale of this place is it's really hard to wrap your head around. It's not just one or two big mountains. I want you to think about this. Of the 10 tallest peaks on Earth, a staggering 8 of them are packed right here in Nepal. It's this colossal barrier that gives birth to 3 of Asia's great rivers. And trying to climb them, that is almost beyond human comprehension. Let's just take Everest, for example. The climb begins with the Khumbu Icefall, which is basically a death trap. It's a river of ice that's constantly moving under your feet, with ice blocks bigger than houses. If you survive that, you face a 4,000-foot sheer wall of solid blue ice. And then, just when you think you're there, this near-vertical rock face stands between you and the top, a spot so high the sky above you turns black. And the reality of these climbs is absolutely brutal. For all of its fame, Everest isn't even the deadliest mountain here. On Annapurna, the odds are just terrifying. For every 3 people who try to get to the top, one of them never comes back. The mountains demand a heavy price. But here's the thing. Humans don't face these giants alone. None of this, and I mean none of it, would even be possible without the Sherpa people. They are true masters of the mountains. And then there are the yaks, these incredible, massive creatures that carry all the gear up slopes that basically laugh at the laws of physics.
All right, so now let's descend from those desolate, icy peaks and drop into the very heart of Nepal, the Kathmandu Valley. This is where a fragile, ancient civilization has figured out how to live with the constant threat of the earth literally moving beneath their feet.
And if you want a perfect symbol of that endurance, just look at this tower. It stood for over 150 years, and then it just vanished in seconds during the 2015 earthquake. But the people of Kathmandu, they rebuilt it, and they built it even taller than it was before. It's this incredible statement of defiance and rebirth.
You know, daily life here is this beautiful, chaotic symphony. The sacred and the modern aren't just next to each other, they're completely tangled up. You can hear ancient temple bells ringing over the sound of traffic, and you can see these centuries-old shrines being lit by these massive, tangled nests of electrical wires. It's a city where past and present are just smashed together.
And get this, Nepal is literally living in a different time. They use a calendar called the Bikram Sambat, which puts them more than half a century ahead of most of the world. It's like the entire country is operating in its own unique little time bubble.
Okay, this is one of my favorite little details. The Nyanapola Temple has survived every single earthquake for centuries, and its strength is symbolized by its guardians. As you go up the stairs, each level of guardian is said to be 10 times stronger than the one below it. You start with human wrestlers, then elephants, then lions, then mythical griffins, and finally, at the very top, the goddesses themselves. So cool.
And right here, along the Bigmati River, life's most profound cycle plays out right in the open. At the Pashupatanath Temple, fires burn day and night. It's a sacred ritual, releasing souls from reincarnation. It's one of those places where the line between life and death feels incredibly thin.
Okay, so from the chaos of the valley, we're going to descend one last time, down to the flat, steaming jungles of the Terai Plains. This is where the Himalayas finally give up and flatten out, and it's where we find a totally different story of survival.
The story of conservation here is it's incredible. Take a look at this chart. A few decades ago, Nepal's one-horned rhino was hunted almost to extinction. Today, because of some amazing work in Chitwan National Park, there are over 600 of these prehistoric giants roaming free. It's a genuine miracle.
But that success comes with a ton of tension. For the people who live around the park, those protected rhinos and elephants are a constant threat to their farms and their livelihoods. And oh yeah, the park also has the highest density of Bengal tigers on Earth, so coexistence here is a very fragile and often very dangerous balancing act.
This land is just defined by immense power, right? From tectonic plates to tigers, it makes you wonder, in a world with all these incredible forces, who really is the most powerful person in history? Is it a conqueror, a king, an emperor?
Well, the answer, which was born right here in these very plains, might surprise you. Because maybe, just maybe, the most powerful person was someone who had everything. A prince, a palace, a kingdom, and chose to walk away from it all in search of an idea.
Because this is Lumbini, the birthplace of the Buddha. This isn't just a temple. It's ground zero for a philosophy that spread across half the world without ever using a sword. You can stand on the exact spot where he was born, a spot that's been confirmed by a 2,200-year-old pillar, and you're surrounded by temples built by people from every corner of the globe.
And this really gets to the heart of Nepal's identity. This is a nation with over 120 languages, where different faiths don't just put up with each other, they literally share the same sacred spaces. It's a place where diversity isn't a problem to be solved, it's a source of strength.
And you know what? The country's flag tells this story perfectly. It's the only national flag on the entire planet that isn't a rectangle. Its two triangles represent the two things that define this country, the Himalayan peaks and its two major religions, Hinduism and Buddhism, stacked right on top of each other in harmony.
So what you have is this nation with this incredible ancient resilience. It's the oldest country in the region, and it was never conquered or colonized. But it's also a young, fragile democracy, still trying to find its footing, right in the shadow of these global superpowers. But ultimately, the story of how Nepal survives isn't really about legendary warriors or powerful kings. It's about ordinary communities who, for centuries, have just refused to let impossible mountains or shaking ground divide them. They endure together. And all of this leaves us with one final fascinating question. In a world that seems to be constantly fracturing and pulling apart, how does this impossible country, a place of geological, spiritual, and cultural extremes, somehow manage to weave it all together and find its greatest strength, not in spite of its diversity, but because of it?